Now let's move on to the first session on the theme of transforming the world from the local level. Hub cities of innovative technology and talent. The panelists are Mr. Jingo Kikukawa, Director General Innovation and Environment Policy Bureau, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Mr. Garrett Winther, Newlab Chief Product Officer. Ms. Fumiko Ichikawa, Republic, Co-founder and Managing Director. The session is moderated by Mr. Ken Shigematsu, Inspiring Dots, LaGuardia Low Architects founder, CEO, principal. Mr. Shigematsu, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. So today we're going to talk about how to create the startup city and create the environment to the world. So we have a special guest tonight here, Kikukawa-san from MITI, and Garrett from Newlab, all the way from New York, just for this, and Ichikawa-san from Republic. So to start the topic, for today, the conclusion, what we want to discuss is that how to create a startup city. Instead of trying to educate the Japanese startup to go global, not only that, I think it's better to create the city that attract global startups, come to Tokyo, and make all the innovation here in Japan. So what's the key elements to make that happen? And another thing is that how that's going to help the city itself to grow in Japan. So to start with, I just want to do a quick introduction of myself, and then just throw some topics, and then I'm going to pass along with everybody. So can I have a slide, please? Okay, I'm Ken Shigematsu. I'm the founder of Inspiring Dots, which I do the city tech venture studio, and also I'm an architect and an urban designer. So as an Inspiring Dots, there's a lot of innovation happening, but it's not necessary to creating enough social impact. But at the same time, by doing the urban planning, I know a lot of governments or the corporation has issues that want to solve. So we are bridging over those two things and put together the teams and make a venture studio. That's one of the business model. But our main focus is how to create a place for creativity. And what we focus is the center of expression. I always say this, but if you can create the city that everybody can be honest to your curiosity and free to express that, that will be the ideal city. And I think that today's startup city will be one of the great example of that kind of city. And I want to just throw 4 keywords. We think that critical mass is important. Even if it's an internet world, we still have to have a critical mass to bring people in one location. And the people has to be diverse. And the city itself should be experimental. It cannot be just one thing that you build it and just complete it. It always has to be flexible, changing, updating all the time. And to make that happen, that kind of place shouldn't be in the middle of the high rise or something. It should be on the ground level and with a public place and have a good culture with the neighborhoods. So this is one of the examples we did in China that integrate the nice, beautiful park with this residential business and the retail activity all together as one thing. And this creates a huge impact to the city. So today we are focusing on the startup city and the impact to the environment. I want to just throw some example that we thinking that how much potential Tokyo has. And one of the biggest potential is the waterfront. Like Odaiba, the place that you're right now, surrounded by the water. It's like a nice atmosphere. There's a lot of like warehouses that are going to be opened soon. But it's just nothing that's revitalized. So we should use those assets to be part of the startup city. And one of the examples we're proposing is Shibaura Innovation District. And this place has a bunch of those warehouses, but also it's a small island, so it's easy to create those test fields in a small island first and try to expand it. But at the same time, there's a lot of universities there, and also big company like NTT or Sony, and they're really close to the train station as well. So this has like a huge potential that I'm dreaming that one day this is going to be an innovation hub district. And all the innovation to the world is happening here, and everybody wants to come here to test their ideas. And also, this is not Tokyo, but if you come down the Tokyo Bay, there's a huge district called Yokohama. And Yokohama has a lot of potential on the waterfront as well, right next to the tourist destination in the CBD. And also, there's a huge convention center too, so all those combinations can be helpful to create this attractive startup city. Another example is in Sumida Ward. It's a little bit north from here. There's a lot of those, like a local factory has like a long history, and they can do all those like metal manufacturings, plastics, 3D printings, and all that. So instead of putting everything in one box, maybe why don't we use the existing local factories to team up with and create all those like prototypes. Actually, this is one of the example, Hamano Seisakujo. It's in the Sumida World. They already team up with a lot of startups and do the prototype for them. And so that kind of be another interesting ecosystem that not only helping the startup only, but also helping the local community. And another keywords is like Akihabara is like a geek district. And actually that is really close to the Tokyo University. And Ueno is like a museum hub, a culture hub. So if you can triangle this too, I call it Akiba Triangle, it could create another interesting city. Another one is on the suburb. There's a lot of those apartments that is going to be old and abandoned soon. Maybe this could be a nice startup canvas. And then lastly, not only creating those cities, but also how to do this test field. This is one of the projects that I'm working on right now in Japan, creating the test field for the autopilot vehicle systems or like energy distribution with a data center. But I think we can do that on the digital also. So this is something that we team up with Space Data, and they're doing those super high resolutions digital twin. So usually all those digital twin has a JPEG image on top of the model, so it's the resolution is so low. But by using the AI, it detects all those materials and create this high resolution environment. So not only you can test out how the traffic works and everything on the digital twin, also you can express what's the experience will be, how it'll change your lifestyle after this innovation happens. I think that is something missing piece right now, that if you need to say smart city, nobody understands what's going to happen to your life. But with this kind of tool, maybe you can experience that. So that's some topic from me, and let's pass to Garrett and what's his approach about this from New York.
Thank you. My name is Garrett Winther. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Newlab. Can we bring up the slides? I'll give an example of similar project that's we've been working on in New York for now the past 10 years. But this is actually a picture of in New York City over 100 years ago, where inside of New York City was one of the largest shipbuilding facilities in the United States. And it's very hard to imagine now in New York City the ability to make large industrial machines pushing large ships out almost monthly, and that all happening in New York City. Over the last 100 years, that industry has either gone away or gone to other parts of the country or the world. And what happened in New York City is that these were the buildings that were left behind. So this is a building that used to be the machine shop for all of those shipbuilding facilities. And over the years, it went from employing tens of thousands of people to just a few to make sure that it didn't fully fall apart. So our charge was say, how do we bring back these critical technologies that are important for economies, important for cities, and help them commercialize faster and have the significant impact in energy, industrials, mobility, a lot of the things that typical investors or typical Silicon Valley startups aren't focused on, but core to our industrial economies. And that's what we took that building and took the area around us and revitalized it to build for startups to bring these innovations to market as quickly as possible. So this is our building in Brooklyn that we opened in 2016. Now has hundreds of startups in it. What you don't see here is that we have labs and shops and piloting sites all around us to help these difficult technologies grow and scale. And over the last 9 years now, we've helped hundreds of companies grow and scale, raising billions of dollars, growing by billions of dollars. And the thing that we're most proud of is companies that are working on these hard technologies, robotics, space technology, quantum computing, are moving much faster than they are anywhere else in the world. So companies are getting to their Series A faster and growing and scaling. And what that led to is this is the Navy shipyard that's now full with technology companies all around us in that thriving industrial ecosystem in the heart of New York City again. And as a result, we're getting calls from cities around the world to help build these ecosystems. So this is our facility in Detroit. And we have locations in South America in Montevideo. We're building in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And we're announcing a new location next week in the United States. So really bringing these ecosystems to life all over the world around industrial commercialization. And really the core pillars of that are we build technical infrastructure, we run commercial projects, and we help facilitate capital into startups as quickly as possible. So this is an example of our technical infrastructure where we have shops and labs around our hubs. So we have wet labs and machine shops. We also have industrial piloting sites where companies are able to launch pilots on. This is an example of a multimodal logistics port that we have a partnership with. And we also partner with local manufacturers around us to help scale up these technologies once they get to commercialization. We also work with some of the largest industry and government partners around the world to help facilitate millions of dollars of pilots and commercial projects into companies, and anywhere from autonomous ships on port systems to micromobility charging solutions in New York City to industrial mining sites and minerals processing. So we work in these core industries and help facilitate commercialization as quickly as possible. And as a result, we get to then deploy capital and help all of our investor friends come and invest in these companies as much as possible. And that cycle continues to help support and grow companies, and we're doing more and more of that around the world. So just one example of some of the things that Ken talked about, and happy to discuss more. So with that, I'll hand it to.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Garrett. So you one of the key from you is like how to make a great connection with the governments and how to work together. So from the government side, I would like to hear your backgrounds and expertise.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jingo from METI as a part of government. Well, I like to pitch some ideas. Well, of course, the two guys mentioned is the how to collaborate and how to make the city or location is to be good for startups. But a little bit I'll give you the hint is Japan as a whole. We have a big potential in Japan. So could you give me the slides, please? Well, Japan startups as ecosystem is, this is mine. Actually, Japan startups having a lot of the investment is over the decades is kind of the 10 times. And also the university developed startups has been very rising in 2.5 times recently. And actually, that startups not typical Japanese one, as those startups are being globalized. So for instance, Sakana AI, launched by the top global talent from Google and from Mercari, a Japanese commercial website company. And also the major investors, not only Japanese, Fujitsu, Sony, NTT, SME, MVC, but NVIDIA's and some other global players invest such our Japanese startups. And another example is Oishi Farm, is coming from the American universities startups. But CEO of this Oishi Farm is graduate from Berkeley, but he is Japanese, Koga-san, but he decided, he launched his business in the States, but he tried to open his R&D division in Japan. with grants from Japanese government. So that is a very good collaboration, over the borders, Japan and United States. And also the last couple years, we have a lot of global investors are coming to Japan to invest Japanese startups from not only from United States but from Asian, Singapore, France, Europeans. So recently, Tokyo as a Singapore accelerator, Block 71, opened their the branch in Takanawa Station, and also Harvard opened their branch in Shibuya recently. And well, Japanese government is committed startups. So as ex-Prime Minister Kishida launched the 5-year plan, and also our current Prime Minister Ishiba is still committed to steadily, helping the 5-year plan to accelerate the Japanese startups. So not only the grants, but we a lot of the R&D activities with startups for GX, pharmacies, and DX, those different fields. So, and also we are having the JStarX program, which Japanese government send a young talent to global campus facilities, and maybe I like to our Japanese young talent to be sent to Newlab, I think. That is one. And also I'd like to point out how great Japan is, good place for startups. Well, that is ranking is well, over 25 years, Japan remained top 1 ranking for product complexity ranking. That is, Japan is capable to produce very complicated products. Well, that is Harvard research. And also, Tokyo is now the top 10 ranked, and very jump up recently from 15th rank to 10th. So as I think Tokyo is one of the most great potential place for startups. And also, not only the startups, this is WIPO, World Intellectual Property Rights Organization in Geneva. The WIPO is an international organization that is showing the Tokyo, Yokohama is always the top 1 ranked for IP place, the cluster. So Tokyo is a great place to gathering a lot of IPs. And and also, well, as Japanese government as a whole, well, I like to not only mention the Tokyo, but some other outside of Tokyo, we have a lot of the places for startups, and the lab, as you mentioned, is one of the new lab types, is a test field. In Fukushima, we are preparing a robot test field, and the GQuad is going to be opened the next week for quantum hybrid computing system. So I think is that Tokyo should be taking the initiatives to do more. And then also I like to announce initially today, JETRO, our related organization, JETRO is a very famous one. JETRO will open today the website for the global investors to one stop, the kind of the place to be having any questions, any inquiries from the global investors to solve all the problems. So I think that's kind of the facilities should be helpful. So as today is in May, as SushiTech, I like to SushiTech Tokyo give us the button to Expo, and in September, we're going to set up a Global Startup Expo 2025 in Osaka. So I think that kind of collaboration is always very good, I think. So that's the end. Thank you.
Sounds great. I see a lot of potentials in Japan, and I think there's a lot of collaboration could happen right there. But also, I mean, that shouldn't be just stop at the startup hub, but it should relate to the neighborhoods and how to revitalize the city itself. I think that is where one of your expertise. So Ichikawa-san, please explain your feedback.
Yes, thank you. Can I have my slide, please? Yes. So I think, okay, let's see. This is an old slide. But basically, I'm from a company called Republic. We have founded this company almost 13 years ago. One of the beginnings of our company was because of the earthquake that took place in northeastern Japan. I thought that not just because of the national agenda, we should also have a way that the cities can also be invited to participate in reinventing themselves and have innovation of its own. We call ourselves a think and do tank, so we do research across all over the world, but we want to deliver and make sure that all the cities and rural parts even are invited to this innovation effort. Our offices, studios, and partners are located all over Japan. Our offices are in 3 places, but as many of you know, I think the past 10 years, there's a lot of different cities, regional prefectures, and also towns are somewhat participating in sort of reinventing themselves and have a lot of different local gems. We often start with people, so it looks like this in the beginning. But then in the end, we have like a different type of deliveries. For instance, in one town called Sakawa, it's in Kochi Prefecture, we have made a library, but it's not just a library filled with books, but also inviting citizens to participate. And also, it's known for the botanical resources, so citizens can also bring in their knowledge about the communities to the library. So it is more like co-designing what are the knowledges that they have locally. We also have a project with the Kagoshima Prefecture, Satsuma Sendai City. It's known for providing energies to the Kyushu entire regions. But we're thinking that perhaps in the sustainable and inclusive way, the city can also offer not just about the energy, but also can bring some more to the circular economy. So we actually have conceptualized together with the city and the citizens to become a circular city, which could be a leading effort in Japan. We also have like a cultural tourism and cultural food design, which is more like circular. So starting from some of the local, sometimes even abandoned properties and facilities, that can also become the hub to experience different local crafts or even local onsen and things like that. So we have also a circular tourism company, a cultural tourism company, and also a food design can also be centralized around it. I thought it would be important that we address a little bit about the innovation ecosystem, because we often talk about ecosystem, but we don't really talk what it is. This is from 10 years ago in Stanford University. They kind of mapped out the individuals, which are entrepreneurs, also the companies in red, like how many companies have each individuals have made companies of, and also financial firms. Now, interestingly, 10 years ago, Paris, all these kind of left-hand side have the cities and its ecosystem mapped out. But when on the right-hand side, once you have Silicon Valley into the picture, it kind of overwhelms. But I think in today's world, we probably have to think about the different ways that we could engage different people. So for instance, this is Obama Village in Kirishima City. Basically, it is one housing manufacturer setting up the headquarters, but it's open for general public. So different people have, there's bakeries, there's also often city offices, there's even shelters for the disaster effort. So it's almost like a public facility. In a way, these type of efforts can not only come from the government or the cities, but also different companies are trying to open up their properties as well. So the point that I want to make is that before it was like one strong company might actually drive a different kind of city's innovation ecosystem. But like Newlab was also showing, now the companies can also tag along, and together with the place and together with the citizens, it can actually create even stronger and more resilient and more participatory ways of innovation hubs. And I think that can be a really like inviting and very strong message. And I think that's what actually Newlab is trying to do in Detroit. Perhaps 100 years ago, it was about the founding and the starting the car industry and really distributing the cars globally. But now I think there's more inviting ways that also the citizens can come along in that innovation endeavor. So I just want to conclude. So I think we have 1,700 municipalities in Japan, and different kind of resources and different innovation patterns could take place. And I think, not just about Japan, but globally, if we can be inviting different cities into these type of ecosystem, we'll have so much to learn from each other. And I hope that it's going to sort of, this could be one of the starting points to think about the sustainable and also inclusive ways that where we could invite everyone around the world to be innovative and sort of and create a future of the world, basically. So that's all me to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very, very interesting that, thinking more like a local ecosystem as part of this like a startup hubs. And actually, for that, my quick question is that, do you have any ideas like what kind of character of the neighborhood is good combination with the startups, or like some places suitable for this kind of new ideas, but some places probably not. And do you have any ideas that what kind of city is a good suit for this topic?
Well, it's funny, but I think, for instance, some of the cities that I've been involved with, one of the characteristics that I've noticed is that who we haven't addressed in the previous century in the innovation effort. So whether it's a women, or maybe it's the fishermen, or maybe the people who are involved in the forest industry, someone who wasn't considered as like being a leader of the industry, like innovation in the city or in the area. When they are somewhat taking part, the whole thing start to happen. I've been to Nishiakura town recently. It's a very small village, but I've noticed that there is a strawberry farm, but which is set up in a bit in the high height. And they said that the oldest worker in that farm is 84 years old. So, if you make a little bit of change and make it like a comfortable and easier environment to work, there's so many different places, and surprising people are invited to that kind of new businesses that appear in the villages as well.
Very interesting. So Garrett, for your point, if you bring in all those like new ideas, new players in there, but I mean, like in Detroit, so you always like do some community engagement as well around it. Do you have any strategy how to do that?
Yes, it's really important that when you're integrating these new technologies, it's doing it with the people of a city, with the industries that you're looking at. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs will build a new technology and just assume that the greatness of the technology will just have it exist into the world. And the reality is that majority of the work is actually around integrating and understanding how the technology exists in the world and building products and systems that help scale into a city. So a lot of our work is less about, we do have shops and labs to do R&D, but actually how do you get as much technology interacting with the local government, the local community, with your local customers as quickly as possible, because that's actually how you're going to scale. So we help facilitate those conversations. We help make sure that the pathways do exist to get to the right people. So for example, in Detroit, we have a transportation innovation zone, which is a public-private partnership around Newlab in Detroit, where we actually have direct pathways to the community around us. So when we're flying a drone pilot throughout the city, everybody in the neighborhood knows what's going on.
Right.
Or we want to deploy energy efficient heat pumps throughout the city. We can get directly to the customers that are actually going to receive that technology and help actually figure out how it integrates in the community. We've been able to deploy a significant amount of technology by having a direct interaction with the community around us.
Oh, sounds great. But since you're local in the US, probably you understand all those contexts, but now you try to expand to the worldwide, so it's harder to figure out all those contexts, and you need to have a good relationship like with Kikukawa-san right here. So maybe this is an open discussion that maybe I want to hear, like, what are you expecting for the local government to help your contribution to this startup context?
So whenever we expand, many times people assume that we're just sending a bunch of New Yorkers to wherever it is in the world, and we're just going to bring the New York way. But the reality is that we hire entirely local teams who understand the place, want to see it succeed. So we've recently expanded to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and our team there is deeply integrated into the experience in government, experience in industry. And it's more just taking the learnings of what we've done around the world and then applying that into a local context. So what we found is that almost every location is slightly different, and then learning from the things we've done in New York, but actually starting to model it based on what actually is true in a local context.
I see. So Kikukawa-san, from Japanese government side, I see that, I mean, Japan has so much potential, and you prepare a lot of budgets to ready to invest. But I think one of the issues is that the startup player is still a little bit shy in Japan, and we need more those cultures in Japan. So by bringing a Newlab in, maybe they can bring some other motivated, like a startup mind to Japan to stimulate all those people as well. So I mean, I think that's one of the items I'm looking forward to see. But from your point of view, do you have anything to expect for like somebody like Newlab to bring into Japan?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, me too, as Japanese startups are too shy. And sometimes the big companies in Japan is also not only shy, but also a little bit slow and conservative. And so I think that's kind of Newlab's types of businesses should be into the Japan's ecosystem to shuffles all the people around, and well, high-tech technology is always facing the problem about regulation. So I think it's a local government and the Japanese government as a whole. I think in that aspect we should solve that kind of regulation. It's because new technology, how to deal with it. Always the people are thinking about. So nowadays the AI is already common. But at the beginning of the AI is always the people are afraid of that, how to deal with the AI and robotics and drone as well. So I think not only the local people, I think the government have to show the customize the regulation to fit into the technology. That is, I think, that the big role, I think.
I see. Yeah, nice. So after bringing those things, another thing is, one of the biggest barrier in Japan is like a culture difference and also probably a language as well. Garrett, do you think that's one of the hurdle you see to try to expand into Japan, or that is something easy to solve?
Everything is difficult. Everything is new is difficult. So what we find, short answer is yes. Like there's always, even in Detroit, like Detroit's in the U.S., but it's a city that's been rooted on very long-standing industrial manufacturing with the automotive industry. So there's very similar culture of conservative approaches to technology and kind of large corporations and actually very similar of cultures that way. But what we find is needing to have support organizations like the ones on the stage now, is our job is to help create the pathways and culture and ways for new technology to integrate. And what we find is that, let's say, choosing to work here in Tokyo or choosing to build that is leaning into that hard conversation or that hard work to make it easier for startups to do it easier.
Right.
So we know it will be difficult. It would be difficult to go, but that's actually the role to help enable more technology to happen faster as a result.
I see. So in that sense, from the local community side, I think for the foreigner to come here, you need to make some like attractive environment that everybody wants to come here and must to come here to do this, that. Not only how to connect them, but just how you think we can create that kind of environment to attract the foreign players to come into Japan?
You know, surprisingly, when we invite universities or young entrepreneurs, they are really eager to come to Japan nowadays. And if you think about, you know, 1 out of like tens of millions of populations in Tokyo, that's not much maybe. But then if for like 1,000 population town, like one foreign, like a creative person gives so much impact onto many levels. And then one thing is that language sometimes is not a barrier because, for instance, when we have like a textile town, I don't know how to dye a textile or weave a textile, but some of the creative people that is really attracted to that town really wants to dig in. They actually speak the language of that local industry, which I don't speak of. And those are things that happening everywhere. So I think, you know, the more that we have municipalities or cities which are actually inviting different type of creatives, I think language becomes a less of a barrier,
Right.
but it's more like you know, happening everywhere around Japan.
So in that sense, I think those cities have to do more promotions, though. I think
so.
Overseas, you don't hear those things too much. So
The facilitation and translation and guiding, the cultural guide,
yeah.
I think that is still missing and it's quite important, yes.
So for Kikukawa-san, so you said there's Harvard University is coming in as well, and so how you do promote Japan to the world right now?
Well, actually, yesterday I had a breakfast with Swedish people, and I had a lunch with a Singaporean, and I had a dinner with American yesterday. Well, it's very globalized. I mean, of course, we should promote, show how attractive, Japan is. But now, as a lot of the under the very, current, very complicated geopolitical situation, maybe Japan is kind of having the position to play as a third party. It's kind of that. So I think a lot of the global players are coming to Japan, and then Ichikawa-san mentioned the university. I think, I'm not coming from the Ministry of Education, but I think university should have more significantly important role to make the ecosystem, and because now Japan has 85 national universities, too many, but. I think each university has their, great talent and the star scientists there. So I'm thinking about maybe I'm maybe to making a kind of the tax incentive schemes to collaborate industry and universities. So I think in that case, I'm open to use that tax scheme for not only Japanese but global players. So I mentioned the Berkeley's Oishii Farm.
Right.
That is American startups, but we gave them the grants. So it's I think Tokyo is already globalized. So Japan is also as a whole should be more globalized. So in that case, we don't care about the Japan flag. I think if global talent come to Japan, we are borderless. We would like to help out any global players from the world.
Nice. Okay, the time is clicking, so I want to go to another topic. Is that so after this kind of thing happens, what the city is going to look like? There's one of the examples I was showing was Shibaura Innovation Hub, and that place used to be a little sketchy area, and I don't know, maybe nobody knows, maybe some of you know, but there's a Juliana Tokyo. Before there's like a disco club there, and then all the crazy stuff was happening on the world.
Bubble setup.
Yeah, in that neighborhoods. But that one, if you become like a startup hub and do a lot of block parties and stuff happening there, people just have just got into a big company, but you just go there and have fun with the party and say, oh, this startup is so fun and I want to be here. And people maybe start moving there. If you can create kind of that kind of district in Tokyo, that would be fantastic. So that is my visioning after like a Newlab comes in or government put together, local community engaged together. That would be awesome. That's my visions, but how you guys think that if this happens, how it's going to help the city and what you imagine that the best scenario? Can we start with Kikukawa-san?
Well, I think it's for the global talent. I think we need entertainment, sports, the music. Well, not maybe Juliana, Tokyo, but I think those kind of entertainment should be needed for global talent. So as I think it's maybe Garrett can be described what happened in the United States. I think each local great ecosystem places should be having maybe football team or as NFL, as those kind of things. I think that's kind of local sports business, entertainment business should be needed. So in that point of view, I think real estate business is I think having a very key role. So Mitsui Fudosan and Tokyo Fudosan, those businesses I think is playing a very great role.
I see.
Yeah.
Garrett?
So I think what we're most excited about is these different places around the world that enable entrepreneurs to start solving some of the really important challenges that exist in the world, whether it's climate, AI and automation, manufacturing, our energy systems as a whole, and the ability for more entrepreneurs to have the places and support to start solving those problems instead of you go to Silicon Valley and people are making, I don't know, dog walking apps or dating apps or whatever it is, versus let's go figure out how we rethink the grid energy systems or how we do hydrogen in maritime. Really kind of these core things are going to shift the entire global economy. And what we found is if you create those ecosystems that maybe give a founder a slightly better chance of success, they'll go anywhere else in the world to give themselves a chance to work on those problems and be successful. So I think a district or a place that really enables them to bring together the technology, the talent, and the ability to have higher velocity and working with their customers and regulators will drastically change the entire makeup of a city very quickly to enable that to happen faster.
Right. Yeah. Great. Ichikawa-san, please.
So one of the things that I was really inspired when I was in Detroit was that it is known as the automobile city. So Motor City, it's like a nickname of Detroit. But now it's becoming a mobility hub. So it's kind of related, but more like as a mobility. So how can an individual or the goods can move more smoothly and more efficiently, but perhaps without consuming more carbon emissions and things like that. So, and also all the citizens are invited. So I realized that the Detroiters have a lot of opinions about technology, more so than ever. So they say like, well, we need some drones to help us to sort of lighten when they're going back to the home, when the lights are all, because Detroit has bankrupted in 2013 and some of the streets are completely pitch black. But how to utilize what technology, I think everybody's somehow contributing to having opinions about the technology. And I think that is really the gem. So I think, who knows, maybe the Shibaura places, out of all this disco culture that they have before, maybe there might be something that you can leverage on, and then people can actually, say, we want more music, or we want more entertainment industry in Shibaura coming back. So I think having that kind of a participatory format, I think every city could be, turning out to be quite an interesting innovation hub of its own.
Nice. Yeah, we still have a little bit more time, but no, I think I agree that entertainment is a good component, and just want to have a culture of this like a creative mind people that you think that my job is sitting down in a computer 8 to 5 every day. It's not that. You should be more creative and just don't stop your curiosity. Always open to your curiosity and be creative, be confident, and at the same time I agree with you that you should challenge all those like big items and to solve the big picture of the world, like global warmings or energies, materials, and all that. But sometimes those things is too broad that the regular people cannot understand how it's going to help your daily life. So I think that kind of communication is something we may need to fix, and for people to realize that, oh yeah, this is going to help my life tomorrow. I want to be part of that and join the team. So I think that's one of the cultures.
Even to that point, a big part of every location we have, we actually invite artists in. So we have artists in all of our places.
Yeah.
And they help challenge the creativity of not just sitting in the lab doing technology, but also how do you express that? How do you communicate that?
Right.
How do you intersect culture and technology inside a space? And that's been a significant additive to all of our places beyond just kind of thinking about just technology. And that's a huge transition.
I went to one of your events, a climb tech event, and there's a DJ has like DJ set, but it has a lot of plug-in, and he plug in, unplug, and says, and that's like a future artist. It was in there, so I was impressed. So we have 1 minute. So at the end, I just want to have one word from everybody this is Sushi Tech Tokyo, so I want to talk about the Tokyo future with the startup hub. So just any message to Tokyo about these startups?
Well, let me. So I think I mentioned initially is with my presentation that Japan and Tokyo has a big potential to create new technologies, and I think it is a very important thing is that to keep such events annually, because that is Sushi Tech is now getting well known globally, right? So all the people over the world, okay, this year, well, when the Sushi Tech is, because we're talking about technology, the CES in Las Vegas, all the people is, pencil in on their schedule, right? So I think Sushi Tech is now coming the very global event. So I think that is very important to keep up that kind of event and to give the signal to globally, because we have contents. Because yesterday I had breakfast with Sweden people. They said, well, why we're coming to Tokyo? Because I'm going to the Pokemon shop to buy the items for the kids. So we have a lot of contents. So I think it is very important to keep up the Sushi Tech, and with as I mentioned, the global startup expo in September. Such kind of global event should be needed and keep it.
Great. Garrett?
I think one unique insight, so almost every company that we work with, especially industrial companies, a majority of their customers are in Japan. So almost every company wants to come to Japan to work with somebody in Tokyo, Osaka, around the country. So really there's an industrial powerhouse that's going to be required for the future that's happening here in Japan. And I know for a fact that many of the companies around the world want to find a way to be part of events like this or part of the ecosystem here, to be part of the industrial future.
Great. So last word?
I feel like any kind of innovation hubs today would have such a significant role of bringing new technologies and new inspirations to a city. And when that kind of fuses together with the everyday lives of the citizens, I think it's so interesting. And I hope like Sushi Tech would somewhat continue to bring in local prefectures and cities and also companies around the world. There's so much that could potentially happen here as well. So congratulations to the Tokyo, and also it's really nice to have your audience here, and it will be nice to have more conversations around. Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes our session. So thank you, Ichikawa-san. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Kikukawa-san. Thank you, everybody, to be here. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you.
ご登壇いただきました皆様ありがとうございました。Thank you so much for a thought-provoking session.
Very much.